If you follow politics, you know this guy as the White House correspondent for the Fox propaganda channel. But today he stepped out of character and turned on Trump's press secretary with a grim reality that is on everyone's mind, and I have the breaking story for you next. Peter Dooley is a bit of a stooge who often undermines his own credibility with weird and biased questions.
And when is the last time he drove a car?
And I suspect the other reporters laugh at him while sitting around the White House cafeteria table. He was very on brand today, but there was also a moment where he cut like a knife about the damage Trump is doing, and I will share both a cringeworthy moment and that moment of journalistic clarity in just a minute. But first, I want to share a couple of other highlights from the event showing Caroline Leavitt feeling the heat from reporters who always stay on point. In this first clip, she adopts her idol's persona by displaying a thin skin, and then his style by hinting at a future punishment.
Have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They
That's it.
don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Caroline is just 2 months on the job, and already that's insulting and that's disrespectful have become her go-tos when she feels cornered. In this next clip, she's asked if Trump is crashing the stock market, and surely she's not going to tell us that he's doubling down, is she?
Does the president think he bears any responsibility for the turmoil in the stock market this week?
Look, the president is unwavering in his commitment to restore American manufacturing and global dominance, and I think he doubled down on that this morning with his new statement and the tariffs that will be implemented tomorrow on steel and aluminum.
In just a few seconds, you will see the Doocy turning on Trump moment, but first, this was probably the most egregious lie revealed during the press conference. Watch as Leavitt is confronted with a very large and scary number stated by Elon Musk for cutting Social Security, followed by her effort to deflect and spin.
He said around $500 to $700 billion. There was no evidence to claim that, and also if that is the case, that would represent more than a third of what Social Security paid out last year, maybe 20% of Social Security and Medicare.
Again,
combined.
if you read his full quote, he said, "We think." So it's an estimate based on what he's seen. He's not saying definitively. He's saying that's what Doge suspects and thinks.
So let me get this straight. Trump's White House doesn't want to be challenged on anything that begins with "we think." So things like "we think they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs," and "we think Ukraine provoked Russia with their peaceful ways" should get a free pass by journalists. And here's where Peter Dooley reveals his bipolar approach to reporting. After a prelude, he opens with a dumb joke that gets an awkward courtesy laugh, and then he lands a damning reality check about federal workers facing retirement while also looking at the stock market mess that Trump has created.
We also expect the White House to try to reassure folks who are sitting there looking at their 401ks going down and down and down. This is a White House that came in trying to get federal workers to retire by the hundreds of thousands, but it's tough to make the argument that you should retire if your retirement accounts are getting throttled, which is what is happening right now. So we hope for answers to all of these curiosities any minute.
So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over this world.
In that moment, Doocy did ask a question that was befitting of a Washington reporter, but it was a rare moment. The truth is, the White House briefing room has devolved into a stage for partisan propaganda due to the increasing presence of far-right media outlets. They are there to set up and support the misleading narratives of the Trump administration. Their presence harms the discourse and undermines the role of the free press. Journalism used to be about holding power accountable, but it's now about manipulating perception and deepening the divide. Those are my thoughts, and I'll give Jon Stewart the final word as he slays Fox without ever mentioning Fox. I hope you enjoy his sly and biting commentary as much as I did.
So you're saying if you have a media machine that purposefully lies to its people to maintain a political fiction and get themselves power, that is the hallmark of an authoritarian system, not a democratic system?
Absolutely.
Well, if we were ever to get something like that in the United States, we would be horrified, furious, to know that there was an entire media organization designed to bend reality, to manipulate facts, to maintain power. It would, if I may, and I'm not trying to slam Hungary, it would never happen in the United States. It's just not, I almost can't even conjure it, imagine it. It must be very difficult to live in a country where one media organization, out of whole cloth, knowingly, explicitly, maybe even in meetings behind the scenes might say, we're lying to our audience, holy shit, and then call for news people to be fired for telling the truth. I mean, if something like that happened in the United States, it would be a dark day indeed. So I appreciate you raising the alarm bells for us.